G'day everyone, my name's Helen. Welcome to my channel. So today I would love to show you the works I have in progress at the moment. I've got 3 things on the go. I have a couple of knitting projects and I'm also doing a bit of sewing as well. So first we'll start off with my knitting project. With the knitting projects, both of them are actually cotton. Even though it's heading towards winter here in Australia, I'm actually working on some lighter garments. But I'm actually knitting the first one in this 8-ply cotton. So burgundy is one of my favourite winter shades, and I have a few other clothes, so this is going to go really well with them. So what I'm actually knitting is going to be, I'd like to knit a top that I can layer with other things but also wear on its own, and I'm going to attempt to do a long sleeve mock neck top. What I'm doing is I'm going to follow along with this other top that I like the shape of. So this is a sports craft top. It's actually a bit longer than I'd like, so I'm just going to crop it a bit. So it's got a bit of a curve along the edge to come in a little bit at the waist. So what I'd like to do is do the same with my top. So I'm just, as I'm going, I'm working out how much I need to decrease each time to get a similar shape. So I've started knitting some up to here. So this is the front, and I'm sort of up to the underarm part. So here's where most of the shaping is going to happen. So just on that underarm curve there. Once I get to the top, I am going to try and do a mock neck. So I'll have to sort of wing it from there. And we'll have to see how it goes. If it doesn't work out, I'll just pull it back and try something else. But we'll see how we go. But yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous colour. It's on the camera, it looks the same as the jumper that I'm wearing, but it's actually not. The jumper's a lot more pink than it's coming across on the screen. But yeah, definitely one of my favourite colours. So I'm really happy to be knitting with this. Now the needle size, I'm not sure of. So I bought these at an op shop and I haven't measured, but I suspect there's somewhere between 1 and a 2. So probably maybe a 1.75. I'm not entirely sure, but I'll measure it at some point. Now to get a really tight stitch on the top, it will look hand knitted, but I like that really tight knit that you get with factory made garments. Obviously they can get super tiny, and it'll be nice and thick as well. My main concern with this one is sort of washing it, because it shouldn't go in the dryer, which means in the winter it might be a bit difficult to get it dry quickly. And because it's thick and tight knitted, it's going to take ages. So I think that'll take, I don't know, I hope to have it finished in a month or 2, because it's a tight knit on a thin needle. It's going to take a fair bit of my time, but I enjoy it, so that's okay. So that is my first project. So the second project that I'm working on is another knitting project. It's basically a similar type of thing. I'm working on trying to build up my basics. I'd really love to make some knitted basics that will replace things like t-shirts and long sleeve t-shirts. So the next one, I really like the shape of this t-shirt. So I'm going to follow along and develop the pattern that way to sort of match up with this t-shirt. Again, it's not going to be quite the same, but it's helping to guide me on when I need to increase and decrease to make the shape right. And I'm making this one a short sleeve top, so it'll replace wearing t-shirts. So for this one, I'm using this cotton here. So it's actually a 4-ply. I was going to go for a 2-ply, but I found this 4-ply, and I found the 2-ply was quite, I don't know, it felt a bit rough, and this one felt a bit softer, so I thought I'd go with this. It's still fairly rough, not super soft, but you know, I love the color, the apricot, and I thought I'd give it a go. I've never knitted with this kind of cotton before. So here is what I've knitted up so far. I did just put a little end trim on with this tea rose color, so it's the same cotton, just in a different color, and did just a short rib row. I just thought that would be a nice effect to have a trim. Yeah, I've just knitted this up in the same sort of vein as the previous one that I showed you. I've done a bit of shaping, which, you know, for a first go is not too bad, but it's a little bit rough. But that will be sewn up in the seam, so we won't see that. The main issue I've had with knitting here is these super thin needles. So they are 1¼ millimeters. So I've never attempted this before. They're quite hazardous. They've got a really pointy end, and I have punctured my finger with them a couple of times. I've now developed a bit of a thick skin, a little bit of a callus on my finger now, so it's not too bad. You might have noticed there's a big curve in this needle. I'll show you the other one as well. So I have such a tight grip when I'm knitting with these that I've actually mangled both of the needles. So it's probably not a good thing. And I'm wondering whether, if I'm going to go smaller like that, whether I should go with the circular needles. That might help, because then I wouldn't be gripping so tight to the whole thing, and the flexibility of the circular needles I think would be better for a project like this. But I need to get some first, so I'll probably order some of those online. I haven't been able to find anything like that at the op shops. Mostly I find that op shops don't have many circular needles, if any. I usually just find the straight needles, which is mostly what I use. But I do also need to find some so that I can do the neckline of this particular project. So I will be ordering one if I can't find one at the op shop. The other issue with this is that I find, because it's all so small, it's tricky, it's difficult to do. But so far I'm pretty happy, but this is taking an extremely long time. I have to be super careful, and I often find that the stitches just fall off the needle, so I'm constantly having to put stitches back on. I've dropped stitches. It hasn't been the easiest project to do, but I'd love to see how it turns out and if this kind of style will work for my wardrobe, because if it wears nicely, then I definitely consider doing more, and rather than buying t-shirts, use this, but we'll see how we go. So the other project that I'm working on at the moment, if you've seen my haul video from Phillip Island, then you might know that I picked up this 70s pinafore dress style pattern. So this pattern is about a size too small for me. So I've decided to make up a toile, which is something I don't normally bother with, but I'm going to start to do that as I make patterns or adjust patterns. So this is the first time I've attempted adjusting a pattern to a different size. So I've used some bed sheets. They are bed sheets that I really love though, so I'm hoping that'll be wearable for me. The sheets that I found, this is the material here. So they're beautiful worn-in cotton material with gorgeous autumn sort of leafy, and there's a bit of floral there. There's a little bit of sort of beige and pink in it. So I started making the skirt part. So this is how it's going so far. So there is a square pocket. There are actually 2 of these across the front, and I've used that as the contrasting trim. They've actually done contrasting trim on all of these dresses. So the one I'll end up making, I don't think I'm going to do a contrasting trim. I've got some nice tan material that I picked up. So I think it'll be, again, a basic. So what I'll do is I'll layer it over, like if I want something a bit more with some pattern, then I'll put a top underneath that has pattern and just have the basic tan on the top. And tan does seem to be like a good one for a 70s outfit. So that should be nice. It also came with these trims, which have the dark background, although they're a bit faded now, they're fairly faded. But I'm going to use this for the contrasting trim. So I have just cut out, some of the trim pieces. And I did lose one of the pattern pieces, so I've just got a little bit to cut out with that because I did find it. I've also done the bodice piece. So we've got the front here and the back. So the back are these 2 curved shapes that come across. So that should be quite pretty and really nice for layering, because then you'll see more of whatever top you layer with on the back. So it crosses over like that. The one annoying thing is that there wasn't enough of this part. So I'm going to do the contrasting trim on the front, but for the back, I'll just be doing the main material with the white background. But I think that'll still look pretty good. So it also has these ties around the front there. So I've cut those out. So that's it for my works in progress for May. I suspect that the apricot top is going to take quite a long time. It'll probably take months. I'm hoping to finish the 70s style pinafore dress probably in the next couple of weeks. So we'll see how that goes. And the other project, the burgundy long sleeve mock neck top, I think I'll probably take a couple of months with that. So later down the track, I hope to show you those and perhaps style them for you. And once I've done the toile, I'll be on to the actual hand pinafore dress that I'd like to make. And then we'll see what happens after that. I've got a lot of projects in my head, but obviously I can't do all of them. It'll probably actually take me a couple of years to get the rest done, but we'll see how we go. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate that. And if you liked what you saw and would like to see other videos like this, I'm also going to do some tutorials and some other content on garment construction and sustainable clothing. So if any or all of that appeals to you, please consider subscribing and like the video if you liked it. I'd love to see you again, and I hope you have a lovely day. Thanks again for watching. Bye.